sorry for the hassle, but I thought it would be better if I arrive at the airport before I do the presentation, as I'm leaving later on to a trip to the UK. So Ralph asked me to talk to you a little bit about what we are doing in regard to SharePoint. And I just go through a presentation that I prepared for Microsoft. We are working very close here in Germany with Microsoft, and one of the references that we have here with the product we use is exactly Microsoft unter Schleißheim, so the Microsoft GmbH Germany. They replaced a OpenText solution with what I will be presenting you in a minute.
Okay.
So I don't know how much you know about SharePoint, so excuse if I just go through quickly a little bit of the history of SharePoint. It actually started with a product, SharePoint Portal Server, in 2001, and Microsoft in those days called the SharePoint Server the information worker. So the plan has always been to implement a new product in the Microsoft portfolio that handles all the information coming from different Microsoft own products and related products, and give this information back to the users. From SharePoint 2001, 2003 up to 2007 until SharePoint 2010, which was released last June. In 2010, there were a hell of a lot of changes. And from my perspective, one thing was really surprising to me. In March 2010, Ferrari, the car manufacturer and racing car manufacturer, and a company called Goldwell, which is doing in the hair business, they actually published their new website and their internal internet based on SharePoint Server 2010, which is not too much of a surprise. But if I tell you that they did this on the beta version of SharePoint 2010, I think that is really surprising. I've spoken to a lot of people and a lot of IT administrators, and quite a few of them told me, yeah, we're sure, we like to use Microsoft products, but we usually wait until we have the service pack number 1. So having a new product, that is, let's say, really so good that large companies start using it in a beta version, I think it's as well something new for Microsoft themselves. So important for us is SharePoint about collaboration, cutting costs with consolidated infrastructures, and addressing all your business needs in time. And that's something that is really able to be done with Microsoft SharePoint. Because one of the neat things in SharePoint is that obviously all Microsoft products are easily connected to SharePoint. So we will see later on in my presentation that especially with the Microsoft Office applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook, we have easy access through SharePoint to our data. By the way, just one quick question. Is Heino already in this call? Ralph?
Hello, Peter? Yeah?
Yes. Is Heino already in the call?
I don't think so.
Okay. I had spoken to him earlier on, and he was still in a meeting in Hamburg, but he thought he would probably be able to make the call. So yeah, he might be calling in a little later. Okay, we move on. So and we see here the Office suite and related products, and we'll see later on that like Microsoft Dynamics AX or other ERP systems connection to SharePoint is a really easy thing. Thomas Edison actually said something very nice, which when I read this quote, I immediately thought about the SharePoint again. He said, actually, I'm a good sponge. I absorb ideas and put them to use. Most of my ideas originally belonged to other people who did not bother to advance them. And I think that really describes very well what SharePoint does. SharePoint handles information. You know, no matter where they are, no matter where they have to go, going through SharePoint and going to the right people with the right access controls and so forth. That's what SharePoint stands for. Oops, sorry, what happened here? SharePoint 2007 was already called or named a product for the DMS ECM market. And people said, you know, there are DMS features in SharePoint 2007. And they were right. Yes, there were features in there, but it was really basic. You know, one example is workflow. In 2007, workflows had to be built and programmed manually. In SharePoint 2010, we have the graphical workflow engine in there. So making workflows now is extremely easy in SharePoint. We have a lot of compliance features in SharePoint 2010, like the policies, like auditing. You can handle digital signatures. Record center, especially for email, is built in. There's a basic information rights management in there. Search functionality is built in 2010. So we have a few ECM features that are already built in SharePoint 2010. But obviously, you know, if everything would be in SharePoint, we from Saperion wouldn't need to talk to you about archiving with SharePoint. So there's still quite a few things missing in SharePoint, especially for the ECM market, which is logical because, you know, SharePoint is not built especially for the ECM market. As I said before, SharePoint it was made, you know, as the universal information manager. So long-term storage devices are not supported by SharePoint itself. The compliance or revision proof needs to be added by third-party products like Warm Media, like CAS storage systems, DMC Centera, NetApp, NetLog, or other products. And archiving and records management is not properly built in, and the connection to different archiving systems is not built in SharePoint. Accessing external documents through SharePoint, there are features missing, and all these missing bits and pieces, and there are quite a few more, like, you know, different viewers or like annotations and black marking and stuff like that, and putting sticky notes on documents. That's all not in SharePoint 2010 itself. What we've done with what we call the Saperion Interserver is we have built an ECM infrastructure based on SharePoint 2010. Actually, what we call Saperion Interserver is the only product at this moment of time in the market that is 100% built into the SharePoint server. So it's not an add-on, it's an add-in to the SharePoint server. You can administer it through the SharePoint administration pages. You have all Microsoft-related products in direct access. You need no additional clients or third-party storage products. This is all built into our Interserver. And so, by the way, if you have any questions in between, just don't bother to ask me. So the interserver, we call it a middleware, server-based middleware that allows the consolidation of all attached repositories. And we don't mind whether it's an archiving system, whether it's a storage device or an optical library, or whether it's a file server or something like that. With the Saperion interserver, we are able to handle these things. Just one example, we have one of our competitors here in Germany, is a company called Easy AG. With our interserver, we are able to read directly the Easy Enterprise I data containers. So if somebody wants to get rid of, for example, an Easy archive, we don't need to have an Easy server running or do a hard migration by migrating all the data to a new storage device through a new system. We're able to directly access the data in the Easy database, as one example. Another thing that is missing in SharePoint 2010 is the handling of the metadata properly to compliance rules. So what SharePoint does is, if he archives documents, he puts what he calls the blobs on a storage device, but keeps the metadata in a database in SharePoint. What we do with the Saperion interserver is we take these metadata as well with the data and put them on a storage device. So if anything happens to the SharePoint server, for example, or the SharePoint database, we are still able to access all the data and rebuild the indexes for these data. When you just would use SharePoint, you would still have your data, but you would have no chance to access them because you would have lost all your metadata. We have the chance to put security right on document, on page level. We can put rights on certain parts of the document. We have a seamless integration into Office, which I will show you later on the screenshot. And yeah, we have through KPMG a certificate that allows us to be compliant to a lot of European regulations. In fairness, these are mainly to Central Europe, will mean Germany, Austria, Switzerland. But I'm pretty sure, I'm not that familiar with Spanish law, that it will be reasonably easy to comply with your law as well. So that's how it looks like as what we call solution overview. We have the Microsoft SharePoint server, we have the Saperion interserver built into the SharePoint server, deployed right into the SharePoint server. We'll be able to access through mobile devices, whether it's a Microsoft mobile or whether it's an iPad or iPhone. We have the access through the Office world, through browser. And on the other hand, we control as well different ECM systems, different storage devices, and Microsoft or other ERP systems. So this is a summary of what I said before. We have the seamless integration into the most common long-term storage devices. We can obviously read, write, and search for the metadata and the content. Our main focus was the integration into MOS 2007 and SharePoint 2010, including the policies. In 2010, we have the record center integration, workflow support for Microsoft's own workflow, and what we do as well, we support a company that's called K2, where we use the workflow engine if it gets into more complex workflow scenarios. And we support all different document types, regardless whether you want them compliant or non-compliant. And as I mentioned before, we can as well integrate external content sources, like your data on the file server. And with the middleware we use, we are in a position to leave the data where they are and to index them, to make them searchable. But we don't necessarily need to migrate these data. With the Saperion InterServer, we are what we call cloud ready, so we can put the InterServer in the cloud. Obviously, when we talk about ECM and compliance, we need to make sure that the local regulations are followed. So, putting data in the cloud in that respect means that we need to make sure that the storage is still in Spain, or ET here for us in Germany. We need to make sure that this is in Germany. Using Dell, Microsoft, or Amazon Cloud wouldn't work from a compliant perspective for that. We have a email archiving functionality built in the InterServer, especially for Exchange servers, where we have the possibility to archive emails, do this compliant on either rule-based system or ad hoc. So in Germany, we have a lot of customers that still want the user to decide whether he wants to archive certain emails. This sometimes belongs to the fact that email archiving is under certain laws. You have to follow the certain data regulations with private emails and public or company emails and separate them. So we have the possibility to archive emails through the user. We can just drag and drop these emails into an archive, or we can do rule-based, for example, that we directly pick them from the Exchange server and put them in a certain archive repository. File server archiving, this as well. We can watch a folder, take data out of file server folder, archive these data, or do this by drag and drop. Cold archiving is as well no problem. And yeah, as I mentioned before, with the example of Easy, we are able to migrate data or consolidate existing archive systems, make them readable, searchable through Microsoft Sharepoint Saperion, sorry, with the InterServer, without having the need or the must to migrate these data. We can really do a read-only integration of existing systems and have a no-touch migration. So we have here now some screenshots. Unfortunately, they're in German. I apologize for that. But obviously, that's available in English anyway, as soon as you use an English browser. On the left-hand side, on the top corner, we just see a SharePoint overview of contract documents. And by doing the right-click and opening the content menu, we have one point here that is called archiving. And that just means that, as I mentioned it before, you can do a manual archiving by doing a right-click in the context menu and say archiving. When you've done these archiving, you can see that something on the icon of the document changes to how it was before, it gets a little green square here, and that means this document is archived. When you then do a right click again on that document, when you then do a right click on the document, you no longer see the archiving. What you see then is archiving information. And so that shows you again that these data are archived. And when you click on the archiving informations, you then see here on the right hand side, you can see the metadata of the document, and you can see the archiving history. Because, for example, if you do certain revisions of the document, if you change the document and add something to it or take something away, the system automatically creates a new revision of that document. Obviously, still keeps the original document archived, and you would see that as well during the archiving history and audit trail. With SharePoint 2010 and Office 2010, we have as well the archiving possibility in the ribbon bar. We can press the button in the ribbon bar and archive documents. Can get a pop-up window popping up where we put index information to the document in there, or can automate this as well and get automated index information to these documents. And obviously through the ribbon bar we can do search as well. What we can see here is that we can archive and we can archive document sets. So we can now with SharePoint archive data to a specific context, like a certain customer, a certain project. Do you still hear me? I get an echo since.
We can hear you well, Dieter.
Okay, perfect. I just got an echo in here, so I wasn't sure whether the line's still okay. Okay, so we can archive now to document sets. We can archive to certain processes of, as I said before, like a project or a certain customer. And obviously we can not only archive to that specific process, we can as well retrieve data and relate it to these. SharePoint Server 2010 itself has the capability of setting retention periods. Retention periods in the ECM market are extremely important. We can still use the retention capabilities of the connected storage devices, like an EMC Centera has its own retention policy handling capabilities. We can either use them or we use the inbuilt retention policy of SharePoint 2010. After the retention period is gone, we have the chance to delete data as you know it from SharePoint, from Saperion system itself. So we have all the functionalities that we can do right here from within SharePoint and the InterServer. We have an inbuilt and in-place records management in SharePoint 2010. This is available through SharePoint 2010. We see it with this little log here to a document. After we archive a document and to a document set, it will be marked as record. This has been mainly done for the US and UK markets. the compliance requirements in those both markets. Sorry. So I mentioned that before, the Saperion Office Bridge. This is actually a quite neat tool or product. With the Office Bridge, we are able, out of all office applications, to archive and retrieve data that are in the system. And the nice thing about that is that we don't only look into a repository, for example. We can as well show related information out of an ERP system or other applications. So with the Office Bridge, for example, if I retrieve a letter as an email that says, "Hello, Mr. Finke, thanks for the cooperation over the last years, blah, 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 blah. But unfortunately, we have to increase your buying price because you didn't achieve the numbers that were agreed between us," and so forth, and so on and so on. I can just search, for example, for that company, and I can see all communication between them and myself. So I would see every letter, every email, every presentation, every Excel sheet that was related to that company. I could retrieve all information out of the ERP system and see whether I really not achieved the target or whether I achieved this target, and that's what I can see through the Office Bridge. And again, as I mentioned before, it's case-based archiving and retrieval out of all Office applications, and I can create new documents out of the archived content, as I said before, and then, if necessary, have a new revision of the document. And it supports Office versions from 2003 to 2010. And by the way, this Office Bridge that we've done for the Sharepoint integration, we are currently doing for, well, let's call it Saperion Classic ECM system. I mentioned before that viewing is important, but Sharepoint has its limitations. Sharepoint themselves only support, I think, about 20 different formats, and they are mainly Microsoft formats. Again, like Excel, like Word, and whatsoever. We are using a viewing component with our interserver that supports, I think it's more than 400 formats today. But there are two more important features from my perspective that make this viewer so unique. One is that this viewer needs no installation on client PC. So the user has no installation on his machine. He has no updates on his machine. He has no downloads on his machine. It's just server-based installation without plugins, without ActiveX components or Java components. So it's very slim and it's very easy to administer and care of this product. But the other feature of this viewer, from my perspective, is it's very, very nice. When we have a large document, for example, a contract of about 500 pages, and we are looking for a specific thing in that contract. Normally you render the whole document, load it on your PC, and then you search through this document and look through the whole document. With this viewer, what we do is we only render what we want to see or what we see. So if I look on that contract, for example, I want to know who signed that contract, and I know this signature is normally on page 497, 498, 99. So on the last 2-3 pages of the contract, I go through all the contract, go to the last pages, and I only render means I only take the data of these last pages to me. So if I'm out of the office, if I'm in a subsidiary with a bad internet connection whatsoever, the data throughput is extremely small. Annotations and markups, I mentioned that as well before. SharePoint does not have its own annotations or sticky notes or so. We put a product or a feature in there where we can put stamps on it, where we can put sticky notes on it. We can even black certain areas out. So if you have, for example, in the HR department, you have a contract of an employee, and there's only a limited number of people that are allowed to see what the salary is. You just black out the salary and put rights on that for a specific group. That is allowed to see this, and everybody else would see the document, but no salary on that. So workflow, I mentioned it before. This is a screenshot out of the K2 solution we use, but the Microsoft solution in general would look similar. It's just that we say after a certain amount of knots in the workflow, we would recommend to go from the SharePoint inbuilt workflow solution to the one we use here for complex workflows. But it's as easy as you can see on the screen. You just add certain orders to it and certain knots to it, and the system itself converts it into a SharePoint readable workflow, let's call it this way. Security and classification. We are currently working on a big project here in Germany, which is a 100% SharePoint-based ECM solution, and they had huge requirements in regard to security features. We added a tool to our InterServer suite where we can have writes on the document down to page level. And we have the possibility with this tool, right when I create the document, to classify it. And I can put a sort of a watermark, for example, to that document, and I can put rights management again on that. So for that specific customer, for example, who has thousands of documents created every single day, what we've done here is we followed the rights management with the classification. So we classified the document, put it into certain cases, and so that we gave them the right to read or not to read the document. So a very powerful but very easy tool to handle security and classification. With the Saperion InterServer, we have as well a connector for SAP Archive link, level 1 and 2. It's a SAP certified link, and it mainly works like the InterServer basic product itself. So it's built into the SharePoint server, and it does the whole communication with SAP. We have different modules here. Unfortunately, I'm not the SAP specialist in Saperion. I don't know, Heino, are you already in that call? If so, I would.
We are hearing you very well.
I was asking whether Heino is already in the call.
Ah, Heine, we didn't hear him. No.
Okay, I'm sorry. So I would like to skip that slide because, as I said before, I'm not the SAP specialist. He would be the one who could explain it much better. But probably you will be able to understand through the stuff that is written in here what it means.
Okay.
But,
anyway, we have here 2 sales guys and 2 technical guys who are already very familiar with SAP technology. So I think also this slide is already interesting for them. Anyway,
okay, perfect.
If questions will pop up, we will do this, solve this later via email.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. We have this presentation already here. Also, George, I think he will be able to answer some questions. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, Ralph, I will actually send you the presentation that you see here again, because I think when I sent you the presentation, I sent you the former version that I did at Microsoft.
Okay.
And I'm not sure. The thing is, I'm not allowed to hand out the Microsoft one because it's Microsoft written on there, blah blah blah. So I'll send you that one again. So don't worry.
Okay.
You get the. Again, I told you about the email archiving functionalities. We can archive emails automatically or manually. We have a migration manager where we can scan mailboxes and take all the mails over to the SharePoint and archive them. We can do this on the server level. We can do it on the user level. The nice thing again here is that for the user in his inbox, it looks like he has all the emails in there, but it's only a stub in there, so he has a very slim inbox afterwards. And the emails obviously are all in the archiving system. We have in the server a lot of interfaces to other ECM and storage systems, and I can see it's not updated because Easy, for example, is missing on here. But we have connected to Easy Software, for example. We have it connected to OpenText. We are currently working on a connector to FileNet, so that we can access the main competitive product on the market, as well with our interserver. And as I mentioned before already, we have connected to all major storage providers. Certificates, as I mentioned before, the interserver itself is certified by KPMG. And got the KPMG certificate for compliant archive solution. And we have the SAP certificate for the SAP connector, which is the SAP archive link, or it's based on the SAP archive link. Okay, before I finish my presentation, I just wanted to show you one slide, which is out of a project in France that we've done with a company called GDF Suez, and I just want to show how easy we can adopt a certain interface or a certain mask for a customer. And when we showed this first time to the customer, he thought we were cheating him because he didn't think that this was built on SharePoint. What you can see here is a SharePoint mask, and yeah, he was really happy with what we've done for him there, and it really doesn't show the typical list featured SharePoint that you see normally. Okay, that's, my friend, what we call in Germany the eierlegende Wollmilchsau. So you get milk out of it, you get eggs out of it, you get pork meat out of it, you get your wool out of it. what it just should say is Saperion is a very powerful. So SharePoint is a very powerful tool, but it needs our expertise. It needs your expertise to really make it the all-for-one tool. And that's so far with the presentation, gentlemen.
I think you got everybody happy, Peter. I don't know how you managed it. Okay. And of course,
that means you owe me a few beer, Ralf. Yes.
Sorry.
I said that means you owe me a cold beer.
Okay. That's okay. Next time a few beers. Okay. We also know that you are traveling, Dieter. And of course there when we are traveling problems came up, but everything we are very sorry. Okay. Thank you very much, Peter.
Pleasure.
And I'm waiting for the presentation. I think we will go through very shortly. And if questions come up, I will send you by email.